Welcome to the place where truth isn't sugar-coated, where pain is power and doubt is the devil that burns at the edges of your legacy. Welcome to the truth you've been trying to deny the whole time. Welcome to the storm of fire and silence and scars and steel, because that's what you're made of. That's what they failed to see when they turned their backs. That's what they missed when they laughed, when they walked away, when they whispered behind your back, thinking your silence was surrender, your fall was permanent, your pain was weakness. But you know what you were doing. You were watching, waiting, bleeding in the shadows, sharpening every broken piece of yourself into a blade, so fine that now you're cutting through everything they said you'd never be. Because who, TF, thought you needed them? Who TF thought you needed a cosign, a cheerleader, a fake friend in your corner, who only showed up when the lights were on and the cameras were flashing? Who TF thought your growth was dependent on their approval, on their validation, on their tiny little compliments sprinkled over your massive soul, like they could contain you, like they could control the rise that was already boiling under your skin. They saw your potential and flinched because it reminded them of everything they'd never become. And still, you kept moving through the shadows, through the rejection, through the silence. You built something out of nothing. When no one was watching you, trained in the darkness, when everyone else was sleeping, you suffered quietly while they broadcasted their mediocrity like it was royalty. You bled alone and healed with no applause. And now, they look up and see you flying and wonder how you got there. And the answer is simple. You didn't need them. You never needed them. You became this without their help, without their hand, without their energy. In fact, it was their absence that pushed you harder, their silence that screamed at you to go louder, their doubt that gave you purpose every time they turned their back. They poured fuel on the fire, and every time they forgot, you remembered who the fuck you were. You weren't made in applause, you were made in agony. You weren't built in love, you were forged in abandonment, isolation, betrayal, disappointment. Those were your blueprints, those were your bricks, those were your mentors. And look at you now, look at the savage. You've become the machine, the legend, the one that walks alone, but walks like a god. Because you remember what they forgot. You remember the hunger that woke you up every morning when they were sleeping. You remember the grind, the ache, the betrayal, the nights you cried yourself into clarity, the mornings you rose before the sun with rage in your chest and purpose in your lungs, and that purpose grew teeth and claws, and now it bites and rips through every obstacle, like it's soft, like it's already yours because it is. They thought you were weak. They mistook your kindness for softness, your stillness for stagnation, your patience for passivity, but you were coiled, waiting the entire time. And now they see you, they see the monster. They created the warrior. They forged in their neglect. They see the fire in your eyes, and now they want to act like they knew you. Now they want to act like they supported you. Now they want to ride the wave. But this wave was built from your tears, from your screams, from your silence. This wave is not for them. It's for every version of you that almost gave up. It's for every breath you took when it felt like breathing was losing. It's for every night you sat in that room with the door closed and the world turned off, just trying to hold yourself together. It's for that person. You used to be the one they thought would stay broken forever. Let them look. Let them wonder. Let them choke on their doubt. Because this, right here, this version of you is untouchable. This version of you was born from war. This version of you doesn't ask for permission or forgiveness or applause. This version of you shows up and owns every inch of the space because you didn't come to play. You came to conquer. You didn't come to make friends. You came to make fire, and that fire is roaring louder than ever, because now you see it clearly. Now you know the truth. Now you understand. You never needed their support. You never needed their love. You never needed their presence. What you needed was the silence to hear your own roar. What you needed was the pain to unlock your full strength. What you needed was the void to build your own world. And now that you've done it, now that you're here, now that you've climbed from the bottom, using nothing but grit and fury and belief, now that you've taken everything they said you'd never have, now that you've become the exact version of yourself they hoped would stay dead, you get to walk different, talk different, move different, because now you know you don't owe them anything, not an explanation, not a conversation, not a second of your time. You don't owe them your story. You don't owe them your glow. They had a chance to be part of it, and they chose distance. They chose silence. They chose doubt, and that choice carved your destiny. So who thought you needed them? They did, and they were wrong. And now they get to watch you burn across the sky, like a meteor that was never meant to be caught, like a force that never needed fuel, just friction and pain and distance. And you got all of that and more and turned it into gold. You turned it into thunder. You turned it into a legacy that will outlive their opinions, their silence, their shade. You're not just surviving, you're devouring. You're not just growing, you're glowing. You're not just proving them wrong, you're proving yourself right. And that's the real win. That's the real victory, because it was never about them. It was always about you. It was about that little voice inside that kept whispering, you got this, you got this. Even when your body was broken, your spirit was tired, your mind was clouded, that whisper became a roar. And now you carry it with you into every room, into every battle, into every moment. And when people ask how you did it, you won't tell them about the help you didn't get. You'll tell them about the fire you refused to let die. You'll tell them about the nights you almost quit and didn't. You'll tell them about the version of you that refused to stay small, the version of you that got tired of waiting and just started building with bare hands and blind faith and rage. You'll tell them that it was always in you always, and no one saw it because no one was meant to. Only you, only the future, you, only the beast inside. And now the world doesn't just see you, it feels you. So let them sit back and watch. Let them feel the heat. Let them remember the day they doubted you. Let them carry that shame while you carry your crown, because this life, this path, this glory, it's all yours, and not a single piece of it came from their hand. You rose without them. You climbed without them. You bled without them. You became without them. And now you reign above everything they thought would destroy you. This is the payback. This is the prize. This is the power. This is what happens when a storm decides. It doesn't need clouds to exist. This is what happens when darkness learns to dance. This is what happens when the one left behind becomes the one they can't catch. This is what happens when you realize you never needed them. You only needed you. And you showed up again and again. And look at you now. Look at you now, standing on the bones of the doubt they threw at you, wearing the silence they gave you, like armor, breathing in all the hate, like it's oxygen, and exhaling pure, uncut power, the kind of power that doesn't ask, doesn't wait, doesn't beg. It takes, it dominates it, walks in with that quiet hellfire that makes everyone stop and stare and question everything they thought they knew. Because you're not just different, you're unrecognizable. You're something they never saw coming, and everything they can't look away from now, and it's eating them alive, slowly. Every time your name gets mentioned, every time your face shows up, every time your voice echoes louder than theirs, They hear it, they feel it, they drown in it, and they deserve it. They doubted you because they never had the strength to believe in someone they couldn't control. They feared your rise because they knew, deep down, you weren't one of them. Never were, never would be. You were too real, too raw, too relentless, and realness terrifies people because it reflects their lies. It reflects everything. They're not and never will be. They weren't supporting you because they were busy competing with you, behind your back while smiling in your face. But now, their fake energy can't touch you, their weak prayers can't stop you, their jealousy can't reach you because you've climbed beyond the noise, above the noise, into a place where only those who suffered with purpose can stand. You were never one of the crowd. You were always the outlier, the anomaly, the black sheep, the glitch in the system, and they wanted to fix you, shrink you, mute you. But the more they tried to box you, the more you broke through. The more they tried to bury you, the more you bloomed like a damn grave flower, feeding off the death of old versions of yourself. And look at you now, immortal in your own making, alive in a way they've never even touched. They talk about freedom, but you live it. They talk about success, but you embody it. They talk about pain, but you survived it, and not just survived. You became something entirely different because of it. And now they want to come back. Now they want to say they always believed. Now they want to repost your wins and pretend they saw this coming. But the receipts are burned and the doors are closed. And this version of you doesn't look back, doesn't apologize, doesn't slow down for people who refuse to walk with you in the dirt when you were crawling, bleeding, failing, trying, dying, becoming. They had their chance, they had their season, and they spent it watching, judging, waiting for you to break. But instead you evolved into something they can't even define anymore. And that's the real flex. They can't even explain what you've become, because what you've built can't be taught. It can't be faked. It can't be borrowed. This grit, this grind, this energy was earned, one heartbreak at a time, one betrayal at a time, one lonely, dark morning at a time. This isn't confidence. This is certainty. This is the kind of power that comes from dying over and over and choosing to get back up, choosing to walk again, choosing to believe again, even when there was no proof, even when the mirror screamed lies, even when the whole world said no, and your heart whispered yes, and that whisper grew and grew until it became a war drum. And now you walk to that rhythm, and they can't ignore the sound anymore. Let them talk. Let them spin their lies. Let them try to rewrite history. But you were there. You remember how alone it felt. You remember how cold it was, how quiet, how deep the pain ran, how much it took out of you just to breathe, just to move, just to keep pretending you were okay, while inside you were building an empire out of nothing but broken pieces and empty hands. And now you walk into rooms like you own them, because you do. Now, your presence bends reality because it's laced with everything they tried to break, everything they tried to bury, everything they didn't see in you. You're now weaponized and polished and unapologetically loud. This isn't revenge. This is resurrection. This is revolution. This is you coming back from the dead that they buried you in and choosing not to forgive, not to forget, not to soften. This is you keeping the scar as proof, not decoration. This is you refusing to downplay your strength for their comfort. This is you shining in the dark, not to guide them, but to blind them, because they don't deserve your light. They only knew you when you were dim and confused and scared. But that version is long gone, burned up in the fire that they started. And now what's left is pure diamond, cut resolve, pure titanium mindset, pure, untouchable presence. And if they still think you needed them, let them cling to that lie while you pass them on your way, to everything they said you'd never reach. Let them choke on their doubt. Let them rot in the distance while you reign without needing a single hand clap or cosign, because your fuel was never their love. It was their absence. It was their betrayal. It was their doubt. And now you wear those things like medals on your chest, proof that you don't break, you build. And what you've built is something no one can touch, no one can fake, no one can replicate. They'll try to mimic the glow, but they won't understand the darkness that birthed it. They'll try to copy the moves, but they'll never carry the weight you carried when no one was watching. And that's the truth that will haunt them forever. The truth that you did it alone, that you made it without them, that your success is a mirror showing them everything they're not. And that mirror will follow them long after the claps fade, long after the followers leave, long after the lights dim. And they'll always remember that you rose when they turned their backs, and now you fly where they can't even crawl. So ask it loud, ask it with your chest. Who thought you needed them? Say it like a battle cry. Say it like a warning. Say it like a funeral bell for everything they tried to kill in you and everything you brought back, stronger, meaner, louder, brighter, because this right here is the final form. This is what happens when a soul refuses to stay buried. This is what happens when silence becomes your superpower, when rejection becomes your reason, when pain becomes your proof. And now there's no going back, no slowing down, no quieting this storm. They had their chance, and they lost it. You never needed their support, because now you are the standard, you are the moment, you are the thunder, and the only thing left for them is the echo of everything they'll never be. Look at you now, and if you still feel that doubt creeping in, if you still sometimes hear their voices in the corners of your mind telling you you're not enough, not ready, not worthy, you need to shut that noise down and remember who the fuck you are, because you didn't survive all that pain to second guess yourself. Now you didn't climb out of the grave of your past just to kneel for someone else's comfort. You didn't sacrifice your sleep, your sanity, your tears, and your time just to let someone who never showed up get a say in your glow, the version of you that kept fighting when there was no reason to. That version is still in you, and that version deserves your loyalty, not the voices of ghosts who never lifted a hand when you were buried under your own battles. You owe it to that version of yourself who didn't quit, who held it together with trembling hands and broken dreams, and still showed up for one more day, one more round, one more step. You owe it to that soul who chose resilience over resentment, who turned every no into motivation and every failure into fuel. You didn't get lucky, you got deliberate. You didn't find a shortcut. You became the damn path you didn't follow, the map. You wrote it in your own blood, and now they want to trace it like they walked it with you. No, they want the destination without surviving the wilderness. They want the crown without the cuts. But every scar on you is sacred, every wound is earned, and no one gets to steal that story. No one gets to borrow your battle scars and pretend they were in the war with you. You walked through it all alone. Remember that. Remember the silence. Remember how they all disappeared when things got hard, how they all got real quiet when you needed noise and real loud when you needed peace. Remember how they only called when it benefited them, how they only saw your worth when it was too big to ignore. And now they want to come back smiling, like they didn't ghost you, like they didn't talk behind your back, like they didn't doubt your name and drag your energy and try to clip your wings before you ever took flight. But you took flight anyway, didn't you? And now they're left watching from below, stuck where they were when they left you. because you didn't stop, you didn't fold, you didn't shrink, you didn't beg. You rose and you kept rising until the air up here became too pure for their energy. And now you see it clearly. Now, you know why they had to go, why they had to doubt you, why they had to disappear. Because they weren't built to walk beside you. They weren't meant to see this level. They would have only poisoned the process, infected your purpose with their fear, with their limitations, with their half-assed loyalty. And now that you've built it, now that the vision is real, now that the dream breathes with its own pulse, they're coming around like they were always for you. But we both know the truth. They weren't. They were waiting to see you fail. They were hoping your climb would collapse. They were counting on your doubt to do the job they couldn't, and you proved them wrong in every way that matters. So don't slow down now. Don't look back. Don't soften your edges. For people who couldn't handle your beginning, because they're not ready for your peak, and they were never meant to be part of the celebration. This win is for the version of you that walked through hell, barefoot while they stood at a distance, criticizing your pace. This win is for the nights you stayed up grinding while they slept on your name. This win is for the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the silence, the solitude. And most of all, this win is for you. For the real you. For the raw you. For the unstoppable you. You've become the kind of person who wakes up the same demons that try to destroy you. You've become the blueprint. You've become the standard. You've become everything they feared you might and more. And there's no room left for guilt, because guilt has no place in greatness. There's no room left for apology, because you don't apologize for surviving. You don't apologize for thriving. You don't apologize for becoming powerful in their absence. And now, you don't just walk in rooms. You own them with your silence, with your presence, with the fire in your chest that says, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be legendary. They tried to write your ending, but you took the pen back. They tried to close the door, but you built a new house. They tried to define you, but now they can't even understand you, because you're not just a person anymore. You're a force, you're a movement, you're a reminder that the underdog never stays under if they keep swinging. And now your story is carved into every step you take. Your legacy is stitched into every breath. Your name is now a statement, and every time they hear it, they remember how they missed it, how they misjudged it, how they underestimated the quiet one, the broken one, the alone one, the version of you they thought would stay in the dirt. But you rose, and not gently, not politely. You rose with fury, and now the sky trembles when you move, because they see it now. They see what happens when a soul refuses to die. So keep rising, keep glowing, keep walking, like you don't owe the world a single explanation, because you don't. You never did. You don't owe closure. You don't owe conversation. You don't owe forgiveness. What you owe is truth, and the truth is this. You never needed their support. You never needed their love. You never needed their energy. You never needed anything from them except their absence, and they gave you that perfect fuel. So say it again for the ones in the back. Say it for the younger. You say it for the version of you still clawing their way out of the dirt. Say it like thunder in a storm full of silence. Say it like a promise sealed in fire. Who, Teve, thought you needed them? Look at you now, untouchable, unapologetic, unbreakable, unstoppable. And they just get to watch.